Alright, so you got 10 bolts all around the cover. Couple up top, couple bottom. Here's your sensor for the diff. Unscrew all them bolts. Ta-da! You got a pin up here, the upper right, and a pin at the bottom. When you pull yours off, make sure that you don't have double pins button up against each other. So here we are, taking off that sensor. You can actually bolt this sensor onto the cover. It's just you won't be able to use it once you get a TCU to match. There's a little spot where you can pry on the lower right side of the cover, kind of get her cracking up and drain up some more fluid. Here's the lower left side. Pop that off, and with the hammer you can tap the housing and it'll slowly come off. A little bit of prying too. So here we are. It's cracked open. Pry it. Give it a little bit of wedge there. Make sure not to jar up the surface too bad. Ta-da! Now there is a gasket that comes in between. You have to, well, that sits in between. You have to purchase that. But here are your bolts. Here is the VTD diff in the new housing. So you see that pin there. You don't want to forget about these two. If this happens to get damaged, you can actually swap them back and forth. Here is the planetary gear set. You just stick that in there. There's a bearing, a big old bearing that goes into the housing there. Make sure these teeth align so that way it can go in. It gets in about that far. You want to tap it in so that way the bearing can actually go into the transmission. And there it is. There is that. Make sure it moves. And then here is the driven shaft that the planetary drives for the back. That goes in there. Give it a little twist. It'll clock right in like that. Next, you want to grab your clutch plates. Now there is a thicker one at the base that goes in first. So that's that big ring with those teeth on it. So that goes in first. And then you have a disc. And then another plate. Another disc. Get on in there. Another plate. And so forth. As long as they are like wet with ATF, they can actually they stick to each other, so that way they won't fall out. So if he has a little bit of ATF, you know, put a little ATF on the disc and plates. And here's the other big ring that goes there, and then the last ring. It's got a lot of teeth on the outside, so you can see the old marks on the back side of it. There's that. Now take your cover. Don't forget the gasket. There's a gasket that goes on it. But here are the two shims that make up the space. Once you put your gasket on, like I said, watch out for those pins. Make sure you don't have two of them on. So this bearing here goes into the back housing right there. So it's a snug fit, and so slide it on like that. There's that. Make sure your pin goes in. Well, there it is. There's the bearing that just popped in, and now you just have to tap it the rest of the way. It goes in just like that. Now just put all your bolts on.